Hello viewers, I'm Solomon Ainshet and this is Walta TV. Today we are here with Sri Lanka's ambassador to Ethiopia to discuss about bilateral relations between Ethiopia and Sri Lanka. Ambassador, welcome to our studio.
Thank you very much for having me this evening.
Yeah, we are happy and we are glad to have you here.
I am also very happy.
That's great. To begin with, just give us some highlights about Sri Lanka at a glance.
Yes, thank you. Sri Lanka is an island nation in the Indian Ocean with a population of 22 million. And our country is very small, as I said. The size of the country is 36,000 square kilometers. And you may understand that our population density is relatively high. We have a 2,500 years old, a recorded history. We are one of the oldest civilizations in the world and also one of the very great democracies in Asia. And we got the universal franchise far back in 1931. So from then, our people have got every 5 years chance to change their own governments. And also, we were under colonial rule for nearly 450 years. And in 1948, we gained independence from the British. And we have very good education system as well as very good healthcare system. Our people we have the highest literacy in our region, that is over 93%. And our people are very much trainable and they are also very much skillful. Those are the brief, if I tell briefly about Sri Lanka, these are the highlights.
That's great. Thank you for your highlight about Sri Lanka. Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was in 2017 the embassy was opened here in Addis Ababa.
You are correct.
Yeah, but why is it too late as a country which has got a very long history?
Yeah.
2,500 years ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah. As such a big country, since Ethiopia or Addis Ababa has got different international organizations and embassies, yours is about 3 years to open the embassy.
Yes.
Why is it too late?
Because actually we wanted, but due to various socio-political reasons, especially due to financial constraints, we couldn't open an embassy up to 2017 February. But we established formal diplomatic relations with Ethiopia far back in 1972. And since then, our leaders had very cordial relations with Ethiopia. And also at the international level, we had extended support to each other. And our relations were intact, but as you correctly said, we couldn't open an embassy up to 2017 February. But with the opening of the embassy, we have achieved a lot during the last 3 years. And I got the fortunate to be the first Sri Lanka's resident ambassador in Addis Ababa.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You're the first to open the embassy?
I'm the first one who opened the embassy.
Like you are.
Yeah.
Well, after you opened the embassy here in Addis Ababa, I think some bilateral relations between the two countries expected to progress.
Yes.
Would you mind to tell us about the investment trade? Maybe you can add the tourism interactions between the two countries?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, our embassy was opened by the foreign ministers of Ethiopia and Sri Lanka. And with the opening, coinciding with the opening of the embassy, the first ever visit by a Sri Lankan foreign minister was also taken place in Ethiopia. So then during the minister's visit, we signed some agreements, and also then after that with the opening of the embassy and our relations with Ethiopia as well as with the African Union Commission and with other African countries were improved tremendously. And if I tell about trade and investment,
Yeah.
with the opening of the industrial parks in Ethiopia, 2017, two Sri Lankan companies opened their production at the industrial park in Hawassa, and I had the privilege to inaugurate production of these two companies with your former Prime Minister Heli Marayan. And now, when you open the embassy, around 150 Sri Lankans were working in Ethiopia. Now the number has been increased up to 800. I am very happy to mention about this. Around 4,000 Ethiopians are working in the companies operated by Sri Lankan managers.
What type of companies are they?
Basically, apparel industry, and there are other companies also. And I think some other companies also have expressed their interest to come to Ethiopia. And last year, we launched one electric items manufacturing company. Their products in Ethiopia. And last month we had Ethio-Con, International Construction Exhibition, for which 8-member Sri Lankan delegation visited, and they established very good business contacts with the Ethiopian companies. And also during the last 3 years, there were around 40 business delegations from Sri Lanka visited Ethiopia, and also some Ethiopian business delegations also visited Sri Lanka to establish business contacts, and also some of them are now very successfully doing their business activities between the two countries.
That's great. As per my understanding, Sri Lanka has got a very tremendous history or success in the tourism sector.
Yeah.
Is there anything that Ethiopia learned from your country?
Yes, actually now we are very much, we have a very high reputation about our hospitality. So not only that, we have many things to offer to tourism. And last year, that means in the year 2018, we received 2.3 million tourist arrivals to Sri Lanka, 2.3 million.
Yeah.
And the Lonely Planet has described Sri Lanka as the best number one tourist destination in the world. So then, because we can offer many things to tourists.
How much did you earn from this 2.3 million?
That is actually, it's a very considerable amount of money. Foreign exchange we earn.
Yeah.
And we have a very good hotel network and trained staff. And we have many things to offer to tourists. That include beautiful beaches, then wildlife, then surfing, then very good food, seafood, historical places, ancient cities, and many things actually.
What do you think the secret behind this for this success?
That is actually now our sector is very much well organized, and so when a person comes, visit Sri Lanka, they decide, okay, we must go there again, right? Some people come every year, especially from some Western countries. So I think you can also learn. We are willing to support Ethiopian tourism industry. And last year I proposed an agreement to be signed between the two countries on cooperation in the field of tourism. That is in the pipeline, and I think that will be concluded very soon.
Well, moving on to the next questions, I think we need to talk about the new project that you have already established in Hawassa, that is the mobile consular service.
Yes.
What is it? What do you do with this service?
Yes, now I must tell you, thank you very much for asking this question, because now in Hawassa, we have around 500 Sri Lankans working in your industrial zone. So then we thought We must, rather than they come to Addis Ababa to get some vital information, we thought we should go to them, and it is easy to organize. So embassy decided, and embassy had a mobile consular service.
Yeah.
I think during the last week of September, our main target, main objectives were to educate our Sri Lankan community on various things. One, about the rules, regulations and customs of this country. Yeah. They should know, and they must respect that also. And second thing, about their consular related matters relevant to them, about the renewal of passports, then obtaining of visas, renewal of their work permits, and certification of our other documents, and such things. And also we wanted to interact with them, because in case when we don't know, there are instances where they need our support. So then we thought of registering all the Sri Lankans. So now we have a database, and when we went there and we issued some forms, then they returned to us. Now we have created a database which includes all the names, contact details of these Sri Lankans living in Hawassa. And I hope that we must go to other areas also. Yeah. And because I think we will be able to do another projects also. Because normally that is part of our reach out program. So that was very successful, and around 400 Sri Lankans attended this service, and they asked various questions, and my staff tried their level best to satisfy their needs. So
you are making life easier for these Sri Lankans.
That's right, yes, that is what we wanted.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I think this coming 16th November 2019, you are going to have a presidential election.
Yes.
And also Ethiopia has planned to have national election by 2020, maybe this year in Ethiopian calendar. Yeah. What do these two things, how do you explain these two things, like presidential election in your country and the national election in Ethiopia?
Yes, actually holding elections is very important. It is a very important part of democracy. And so then in our, as I said, from since independence, our people got elected their parliaments as well as presidents, because presidential system came to our country in 1978. But every 5 years now, according to new constitutional amendment, we have to hold the presidential election. Our president is elected directly at a presidential election. So we are going for presidential election on 16th November. That means in another 10 days. So then we are getting a new president. New president will be elected with a new mandate for a period of 5 years. So that is a beginning of new era, I would say, in Sri Lanka. And now we are in an election mood. And also next year is an election year for us also, because in addition to the presidential election holding in November this year, we are also going for parliamentary elections after March next year, 2020. So then people are getting another chance to elect their parliamentarians, right? So that is very good. And in Ethiopia also, I know that after Prime Minister Abe came to power, he introduced a number of reforms, which includes the electoral reforms. So now Ethiopian Independent Election Commission is going to hold the general election next year. So people will get a very good chance to elect their representatives to carry forward the programs as well as new programs which are required for the economic and social development of the country. So those are very significant things.
Well, some couple of weeks ago, as you remember, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has won the Nobel Prize. Anything that you like to say about this success?
Yes. Very first, on behalf of the government and the people of Sri Lanka, I wish to congratulate the Ethiopian Prime Minister for winning historical Nobel Peace Prize. This is very historical, not only to Ethiopia, not only even to Africa, it is for the entire world, because he was rewarded for taking initiative to end 20 years long Ethiopia-Eritrea conflict, which killed thousands of human lives. So that is a very significant achievement. With that, I think we have a very peaceful Africa now. So even our Prime Minister sent a congratulatory message to your Prime Minister, and that was conveyed to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and that is very historical. And your Prime Minister has set an example. We as a country, Sri Lanka, we also suffered a lot due to a civil war. We know the tragedy of the war. So we, more than some other people, we know the value of this. And it is really very important thing, very remarkable. I think all the Ethiopians and Africans, irrespective of their differences, should celebrate this event.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm winding up my questions, Ambassador, but as far as my understanding is concerned, you have about to complete your mission here in Ethiopia as an ambassador.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After 3 successive years, successive and successful years. Well, how did you see Ethiopia in your career here in those 3 years? The people, the hospitality, everything. You can talk about the food as well if you like.
Thank you very much for asking this question.
Yeah.
I am, as you said very correctly, next year I am completing my tour of duty in Ethiopia. Next week I am completing my tour of duty in Ethiopia.
Too close.
Very close.
Yeah.
And I am very happy also to give this is my last television interview.
I remember the first interviews also
with you.
With me here.
Yes, with
Walta
you here.
Studio, yeah.
And last 3 years gave me tremendous experience and exposure. Being the first ambassador here, and I received a very good cooperation, excellent cooperation from the Ethiopian government, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and officials. So it is, I will never forget. And also, I faced some other challenges because we came to open the mission. We didn't have a mission.
Yeah, you were the first.
First.
Yeah.
And also, even as you said, as I mentioned about these investment opportunities and people-to-people connections and signing of some other agreements. Actually, that was a very work-wise, highly involved period in my life. So I am going back to Sri Lanka as a person who gained more experience on diplomacy, right? And how to cultivate people, how to establish contacts. So I am very much thankful and grateful to my country for sending me here as the first ambassador. Yeah. Also Ethiopia for receiving me as the first ambassador.
Sure.
So I'm very much thankful.
We are also happy to have you here, Ambassador. I think we have finished our interview.
Yes.
Thank you for coming again.
Thank you so much.
I wish you all the best in your life when you go back to Sri Lanka.
Thank you very much. I also wish you every success in your endeavors. And I have many friends now in Ethiopia. We must also thankful to the social media and other ways of networking. Yeah. So then I think we can continue our relationship.
I hope you'll come back and see your second country, Ethiopia.
Yes, yes, yes. I wish to invite you also to Sri Lanka. You can be my guest. I'm very glad to host you there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador, for your time. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Dear viewers, I hope you had a wonderful time with us. Next time with another guest, we'll see you. Thank you for your time. Bye.